Okay, well, thanks everybody for joining. Today's Charmed Environmental Justice Partnerships Board meeting is going to be a special highlight of the EPA, US EPA Region 3 Technical Assistance Center. I'll let Jacoby do the acronym, the TCTAC Center, and Match, which has got great resources. And we wanted to highlight this today, well, this month, because a lot of EPA announcements have been coming out, and probably a lot of communities are trying to get information about how to apply for some of these funds. So we thought it'd be good to host Dr. Wilson and his colleagues here. So I'll turn it over to you all. And Maddie, just quick check, any other announcements or anything we want to do before we dive into it?
No, I think we're good to go. And I guess last thing is if you are coming on and your name is Matthew Auberg, again, great name. But if you could click on the three dots in the top right corner of your window, and then click on rename and just type in your actual name just to let everyone know who's in the room. So thanks for that.
And Maddie, can you just do a quick screen of the agenda so folks know the flow?
Sure. Yep, I'll send that in the chat.
Yeah, so welcome everybody. Just wanted to give opportunity for us to have a meeting between Charmed and the TCTAC. So looks like I'll be leading this discussion for today. So a little bit about Charmed is I'm not sure, Chris, if you wanted to do more or you just want us to spend bulk of time talking about the TCTAC. But just
Yeah, no. I mean, no, we could just dive into TCTAC and just maybe
okay.
mention that you're co-lead of the Community Engagement Corps, and we host these Environmental Justice Partnerships Boards meetings.
Yeah, so as Dr. Haynes just mentioned, I am a co-academic lead of the Community Engagement Corps. Chris is other co-academic lead. We also have community co-leads of the Community Engagement Corps of Charm, which is an NIH-funded center that includes Shoshonda Campbell from South Baltimore Community Land Trust, who is on maternity leave still. So then we have Toby has been on these calls and also on our TCTAC calls. And of course, Greg from South Baltimore Community Land Trust is on the call today too. And then also Wakaria Poole is on the partnership board, I think also co-community lead. And we also have Maria and Mike Payan from Simmons Eastern Shore Health and Success Environmental Health Network, who are also on the partnerships board for the Community Engagement Corps for the Charm Center. And I want to do a quick screen share. Maddie, can I do that real quickly?
Yep, you should be able to. Let me know if you have any
Okay, just give y'all, yeah, I will I'll let you know, give people a little bit of background. So as Chris mentioned, I am co-director of the Region 3 Thriving Communities Technical Assistance Center. And our parent partner, fiscal partner, is the National Wildlife Federation. So I'll put this link in the chat for y'all if you want to go to the website. But we have a website that's still in progress. I'll use that term on the TCTAC. So this is part of the EPA's national program to address environmental justice. We know that the EPA has received billions of dollars through the Biden administration to advance environmental justice. A lot of the framework for how the money is being rolled out, doled out, whatever term you want to use, is under the Justice 40 framework. That's baked into Executive Order 14008. So as we move from a dirty energy economy to a clean energy economy, 40% of those benefits, federal investment should go to disadvantaged communities. And so the EPA has received the most money it's ever received for environmental justice over the last few years. And so, this TCTAC program is part of a holistic whole of government approach to provide technical assistance to communities who are experiencing environmental, energy, and climate justice issues. And so our team, which consists of the National Wildlife Federation, SIEGE, the Environmental Finance Centers at the University of Maryland, also our community partners, who some of them I mentioned before, South Baltimore Community Land Trust, Overburdened Education Center, which is in Philadelphia, Session Shin, which cover Eastern Shore and Southern Delaware. We also have Central Del Puerto Familiar that covers Prince George's County, but also does a lot of work engaging Latinx, Latino populations in the area and beyond. We also have Empower DC, which is one of our community hubs in the DC area. So we have Philly covered, Metro, we have Metro, Baltimore covered. We have, of course, all of DC covered, and we have rural hubs, and we have a hub that focuses on primarily Latino populations. We also have 3 HBCUs as hub partners: West Virginia State, Virginia State, which is one of our newer HBCU partners, and also Morgan State, which was one of our original HBCU partners in the submission. And so there's 17 TCTACs that it says 16, 17, maybe it's no longer 17, no, it's only 16, maybe one went away. So there's 17 TCTACs, excuse me, across the country. There's at least one TCTAC per EPA region. There are 10 EPA regions. Then there are 3 national TCTACs. Some regions have more than one TCTAC. For example, the primary Region 4 TCTAC is out of RTI, but the Gulf Coast TCTAC, which is led by Dr. Beverly Wright, covers both Region 4 and Region 6. There's another TCTAC that's based in New Mexico State that also covers Region 6. And then Chicago, which is Region 5, there's Chicago's in Region 5. There's a Chicago-based TCTAC led by Blacks and Green. And then the larger regional TCTAC for Region 5 is at the University of Minnesota. So with our TCTAC, our mission with our core partners is to be a technical assistance center for communities experiencing environmental and energy justice issues in Region 3, includes Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania, West Virginia. That's Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Virginia, West Virginia, and DC. And so we work with our community partners who I've already mentioned. And so you can see, click at the links. I think these links are working, and go to folks' websites. But here are the main goals of our TCTAC is to provide outreach to underserved, overburdened, rural, and capacity-constrained communities in Region 3 to receive technical assistance. Deliver technical assistance to increase the capacity of hubs and communities of concern in Region 3 to assess the environmental and energy justice concerns. Deliver training and technical assistance to increase the capacity of underserved, overburdened, rural, capacity, y'all see the same language, right? And capacity-constrained communities in Region 3 to obtain funding to address environmental and energy justice issues. Number 3 is really one of our biggest parts of the TCTAC, is really helping those communities, as Chris mentioned, that are experiencing environmental and energy justice issues access a lot of the federal money. So from environmental justice perspective, we're trying to make sure that we are getting to distributional justice when it comes to who's getting the dollars, those who are most impacted by getting the dollars. And also, when we think about distributional justice, also the co-benefits of the federal investments. And then goal 4 is deliver technical assistance to increase hub and community capacity to engage policymakers, government agencies, and industry in projects, programs, and initiatives that will address local environmental and energy justice issues in Region 3. So that's a big part of what we're doing. So 4 is really about working with local governments, working with state agencies, working with businesses on the clean energy side. So industries that may be doing solar, maybe doing geothermal, doing wind, like U.S. Wind, for example, or Ørsted. Even though I heard Ørsted kind of pulled out of Baltimore. I got to learn more about what happened there, but that's a different story. State agencies like Maryland Energy Administration, we met with them last week. Also, the other agencies that may be doing work in the energy sector, particularly clean energy. Entities that may be doing work on energy efficiency and weatherization, smart grids, microgrids, electrification, EV stations, EV charging, also workforce development in all these various parts of the clean energy sector. So that's so these are our primary goals of the TCTAC, and I'll stop for a second if there are any questions, because I do have some slides, but I figured this website would be a better summary of what we're doing. But if anyone has any quick questions before I continue, I want to give a little bit more, dig deeper, and then we'll pass the mic to the hubs to introduce themselves. Questions? So as part of this TCTAC, our goal is to provide technical assistance, again, to frontline and fence-line communities who are experiencing environmental and energy justice issues. Now, the way we do that is we have an intake process. So if a community group that is working in the community with these issues wants support, they can call our 1-800 number that you'll see on the website. So if you want support, if you need technical assistance, you call the 100 number. If you are a technical assistance provider that you want to provide support in one of the areas that I mentioned, if you want to help folks build that grant writing capacity, if you are looking to provide legal assistance, if you're looking to provide support on the clean energy side, maybe entrepreneurship support, etc., you can call the 202 number. So what we've done is provided phone number. People call in, they go through a process, clicking on various digits on the phone, right, or on their laptop, and then it helps us figure out what the issues are. And so it helps us with our triage and tiering process. And then those communities that need support, we try to, we will be pushing them back down to their hub, where the hub would also be doing some outreach, engagement, and technical assistance. Now, in this first year of the TCTAC, what we're really doing is building our infrastructure. So our team at the University of Maryland side have been staffing up. The National Wildlife Federation team, led by Dr. Adrienne Hollis, I'm not sure if I mentioned Dr. Hollis yet. She's the co-director of TCTAC, apologies for that. She's also staffing up, hiring communication staff. She has a project coordinator. She's also in the process of hiring, she hired a policy staffer. She's also in the process of hiring an evaluation team member. We've also built in some of our sort of architecture of the TCTAC. So we have this website that's, again, still in building mode. We also, the EFC team is building a queryable database. So groups that want to search for funding opportunities, they can go through the queryable database and find an opportunity, whether it be in the state level, in all the states in Region 3, or at the federal level, and also not just federal grants, but also non-federal grants. We're also building that service provider database that I mentioned before, and I think we're building both of those using the Airtable. So we have a draft of the queryable database. We're also building the service provider database in the Airtable. And then we're also building an educational resource page. So a lot of the sessions from our past symposia will be posted on that site, educational resources on GIS mapping tools like the CGIS tool, that's the Climate Economic Justice Screening tool, our Mid-Atlantic EJ Screening tool, US EPA EJ Screen, the new Climate and Vulnerability Index tool, CDC's EJ Index tool, other mapping tools out there, community science workshops, air quality monitoring workshops, workshops on health impact assessment, workshops on cumulative impact assessment, workshops on climate action planning. The EFC team is developing workshops through their MOST program on grant writing, so a series of workshops. And then our energy team that's at the National Wildlife Federation, they're developing a lot of workshop materials related to the clean energy sector, and going back to that goal number 4. So we're building that out. And also our hub partners are staffing up. So, and they'll talk more about this and building up their infrastructure. So the idea is we're kind of doing a trainer-trainer model. We're building the capacity of the hubs first in year 1. And as we kind of get through year 1, move to year 2, then we're going to start delivering technical assistance and capacity building to communities that we know they need support, using more of a workshop model. So I'll stop there. I think I've probably said too much. I want to steal thunder from my hubs, but I want to, Maddie, it's now time to transition to give each hub a chance to introduce themselves on the agenda.
Sure. Yeah. So thank you for that introduction. And as Dr. Wilson said, it will be great to just hear from all the community hubs, just give a quick introduction about yourself, the work that you do, and also your involvement with Match and with the Region 3 TCTAC as well.
I can go first if that's good. I'm Parisa Nourouzi, co-founder and director of Empower DC. And our mission here in the District of Columbia is to build power with impacted residents to advance racial, economic, and environmental justice. We started Empower DC in 2003, so we just celebrated our 20th anniversary last year. And we're happy to be working as part of the Match, as well as part of the TCTAC, the DC community lead for Region 3. We are having an event as one of our sort of first actions in our role with the TCTAC. April 27th, we'll be holding a DC Environmental Justice Action Summit. So for those of you who are local, I hope you'll consider joining us. And just to speak to our work very, very briefly, we are community organizers. So our work is all about making sure that the residents most impacted are knowing about decisions that are being made and really helping to influence and shape those decisions. We're doing a lot of work around air quality, heat island effect, a lot of the pollution and health effects related to overconcentration of industrial land in certain neighborhoods, working for some policy change, trying to get some cumulative impact legislation here in DC, among some other things, trying to get a relic environmental injustice shut down in the Ivy City community, a facility using carcinogenic chemicals to manufacture adhesives right next to residential homes. So we're grateful to be part of this network. I want to apologize in advance that I have to speak at another meeting at 6:30, but I'll be back on at 7. So I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues now.
Sharon, you want to jump in next, or is that how the agenda flows? Go ahead, Maddie. Who's up next based on the agenda? I'm sorry.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I can jump in. Thanks a lot, Dr. Wilson. Parissa, thanks for passing it over. My name is Jerome Shabazz. I'm the Executive Director and Co-Founder of Jazz Tech Development Services, Inc. We're a 501c3 not-for-profit organization in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We were established in 1997. And our mission is to ensure a more livable, sustainable, and equitable Philadelphia community. And as part of our work, we began to identify the need for environmental and climate justice activities that are community-based, and as a result, was able to apply for and receive funding from the EPA to establish the Overbrook Environmental Education Center, which is a community-based center dedicated to preserving built and natural environments, and particularly in urban communities. But our objective is to improve public health while promoting personal enrichment in those respective neighborhoods where our constituents live, work, and play. And so we are also members of Match, as well as community hubs for the TCTAC. We focus on the greater Philadelphia region and a little bit of Delaware, Wilmington area. And our objective is to really create a regional-based repository for those organizations who need access to resources, funding support, and the additional information necessary to apply for federal grants. And so we anticipate having a symposium in October, mid-October, that would enable us to bring all of that together and to help to solidify our presence, as well as create opportunities for some of our partners to participate and talk about their respective work in their particular areas as well. And so look forward to having more robust conversations about this work, and I want to pass it on to one of my colleagues. I don't know who's next.
It's me.
You got Matthew Auberg.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Walkiria Poole. I'm the president and founder of CAF, Centro de Apoyo Familiar, or Center for Assistance to Families. We are based here in Prince George's County. And part of the work that we are doing through the match and also the TCTAC is build capacity for reaching and serving the Latino community specifically, and the immigrant community. So we have been able to work since 2010. We've been working on environmental justice issue. We began to do this work since based on our asthma prevention, lead poisoning prevention, in indoor environmental health education. We are currently a HUD-approved counseling agency, so we work with a lot of first-time home buyers, and that's how we started to connect the environmental health or healthy homes programs into the work that we do. And from there, we began to advocate on environmental justice issue. As part of our work, we are going to be building up capacity for the organizations that want to serve the Latino community, help develop materials that can be used when it comes to language access, and be able to provide bilingual training and workshops for community who wants to serve the Latino and immigrant community specifically. We also work with a large amount of faith-based organizations. Currently, we have over 400 churches that we work with in partnership to develop outreach strategies and to connect with families in different communities. CAF is also a co-anchor for the Mid-Atlantic Environmental Justice Coalition, which it's been up and running the last 3 years, and it's been very active, on legislation and issues that is being affecting the Black and Brown community here in the state of Maryland specifically. We are extremely excited about what this opportunity is gonna bring, and also to be able to expand and work with other organizations whose mission is also connect, educate, and do outreach for the underserved community. So thank you.
All right, well, good evening, everyone. Lovely to see everyone. Appreciate everyone's time. My name is Toby Harris, here with the South Baltimore Community Land Trust in Baltimore, and I believe my colleague Greg Sawtell is still on the call as well, but we are a community and youth-led organization for the past decade plus, working to create permanently affordable housing, development without displacement through our community land trust homes, that are passive homes, and specifically around our work on environmental justice and zero waste in Baltimore, really stemming back to 2009. Dr. Wilson mentioned my colleague, Shoshana Campbell, who's right on maternity leave, but we're eagerly awaiting her return. But again, while she was in high school, again, there was this proposal to build the largest trash incinerator in South Baltimore, and these high school students came together to organize and rally across their city to get those efforts shut down, and then not stopping there, but looking at the existing polluting industry in neighborhoods and kind of what other visions or other futures there might be. So we certainly appreciate our existing partnership with the Charm Center and the researchers and colleagues, across universities, helping us translate that data collection into, action. And specifically our most recent city council hearing was impactful, certainly for our next steps, hearing directly from hospitals that again are reliant and using some polluting industry. But I'm not sure who's next, but thanks again for everyone's time tonight.
Thank you, Toby. Let's go to Adam next, and then we'll go to thought I saw Director Cotting after that. Did I see Director Cotting?
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah, go ahead, Adam, first. Yeah, go ahead, Adam.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. I'm Adam Hodges. I'm a program leader with our extension service at West Virginia State University. So we are an 1890 land grant institution, an HBCU. We traditionally have served underserved, low resource minority communities as our charge. And we're very excited about being part of the TCTAC and environmental justice. It's a field that is obviously important to us. We are primarily engaged in southern West Virginia in the coal fields, where there's a deep-rooted environmental justice, numerous issues with environmental justice that aren't necessarily being addressed. And we feel like we are the right people to take care of that, or to at least try to address it and to do the outreach. We also are working closely with Dr. Barnes at Morgan State. He is leading what we're kind of calling the HBCU hub. And so we're helping to support his work in outreach to all the HBCUs within Region 3. And then on my part, as the only land grant extension person affiliated with this TCTAC, my role is also to use my relationships in land grant and extension as we develop these tools and resources to be able to put those in the hands of extension agents who are actually trusted resources out there in communities working, and be able to have that point of contact for the TCTAC and for Region 3. So.
Yeah, and just to add to what Adam said, the third HBCU, Virginia State, they have been confirmed. They're also another land grant that'll be part of our TCTAC. So we'll have a good cooperative extension connections. And the hope is, as Adam said, with the 3 HBCUs on board, we can figure out to be able to connect to all the HBCUs in the region. So I think that'll be a really important part of the work that we do as a TCTAC, and the purported connections those HBCUs have in their own communities that we'll be able to access, provide more technical assistance to those frontline frontline communities. Go ahead, Director Cotting.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. So for those of you who aren't familiar, the Environmental Finance Center, we're located at the University of Maryland College Park, but we are actually a regional center. And for 30 years, we've been serving communities throughout the Mid-Atlantic with a focus, as you can imagine, finance is our middle name, with a focus on helping communities figure out how they're going to pay for the environmental and justice priorities that they have locally. And so our work in that regard with the Thriving Communities Technical Assistance Center and the wonderful partners you're hearing from here today, it's going to happen on 2 levels. On a really broad level in helping connect communities to state and federal resources. It's helping with those broad reach services like developing webinars, doing trainings and workshops like we'll be doing it as a part of the symposium that Dr. Wilson mentioned, developing resources. We've developed that the queryable database of funding opportunities. And so those are the things that'll have really broad reach. And then we're also doing some things that will provide direct technical assistance to communities, because the communities that we're targeting with this work are some of the communities that have the least capacity to take on trying to chase down the funding that is available. And so it's about not only helping to connect communities to those dollars, but also building their capacity to access them, to use them, and to meet all of the requirements of having those dollars in hand. So that'll be more direct technical assistance, really rolling up our sleeves, working one-on-one with the hubs and with their constituent organizations and with the communities that they serve, to identify those grant opportunities and then to access those grant opportunities and then to manage those dollars once they get them in the door.
And Director Cotting, do you want to give a little bit more, not a little bit more, some background on your water TA project, which is separate, but would probably be of interest to the CHARM team as well?
Sure, I'd be happy to talk about that. And that's, yes, it is a separate EPA award, but there's a lot of parallels in the work that we're doing under that award. We, about a year ago, we were designated not only the Environmental Finance Center for the Mid-Atlantic, but also to be the Water Infrastructure Environmental Finance Center for the Mid-Atlantic. So that means that we are specifically charged with helping communities access all of those water infrastructure dollars that are available through the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and through the Inflation Reduction Act. And so we will be offering similar technical assistance under that umbrella to help connect communities to those federal dollars, and to the extent that they flow through the states, we'll help connect them to the state dollars as well. And so, again, and we have a couple of other technical assistance programs under the EFC umbrella. And I think the intent, both of the TCTAC and of the work of the EFC, is for the communities that we're serving, or the hubs and the community-based organizations that we're serving, to not have to worry about which pot of money we're helping them under. Just come to us, do the intake process through what the TCTAC has set up, do that intake process, and we'll figure out how we can help you. We just need to know that you need help. And so we can help, we'll figure out how we're going to help you and which umbrella that's going to fall under. Thank you for that opportunity, Dr. Wilson.
No, you're welcome. I just want to make sure, in previous CHARM meetings, I've talked about the multiple infrastructures we have in the region. So I just want to make sure folks are aware of, not just this core discussion about the TCTAC, but the connections to a sister program, the EFC program, as Director Cotty mentioned. They are the regional water TA, Water Technical Assistance Center, but also just like there's a national network of TCTACs, there's also a national network of environmental finance centers as well. Just to add a couple more things before we go to other parts of the agenda. There is what I should have done, and I apologize for the charm team. The original name for the TCTAC was Match, but we have another project called Match, so we have to figure out which one is Match. We still are figuring out Match 1, Match 2. So we had a joke Match 1, Match 2. So we just been calling it the Region 3 TCTAC that has no snaz. It's not snazzy at all, but the actual Match is the Mid-Atlantic Climate Action Hub. So just to to talk about that briefly, and I've talked about it before, Match is the heart of the TCTAC. So before we got the TCTAC, Match was funded. So Match focuses more on environmental and climate justice issues. That's funded by the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. We were given $2.2 million over a 2-year period where we had to provide, again, technical assistance and capacity building support around environmental and climate justice issues. Some of the same community hub, we don't have any HBCU hub partners on Match, on that part, on Match, but we do have the same community hub partners on the TCTAC on Match. In addition, an ESC is also a partner on Match that's funded by the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. And we have 2 additional community hub partners. One is UPAL, which is in Richmond, Virginia, and also SWIA, Soft Water Environmental Association. I'm messing it up. Environmental Action. Sorry. Kim Gaddy. Sorry, Kim. I'm messing up your name. But it's SWIA. They're based in Newark. So all the issues in Newark around goods movement, around incinerators. They're very engaged on those issues. Waterfront, environmental health issues. They're very engaged in those issues. So we have Match, we have the TCTAC, and as part of Match, and I said in previous CHARM meetings, we have to give away half the money. Some of those dollars are going to the hub partners, and some of the first monies when it comes to trying to provide support, capacity support to the hub partners, were dollars from Match. And then we have a mini grant program where we've announced, we still have to give them the money, 30 awardees, 20 awardees getting $20,000, for low capacity groups to enter the environmental climate justice space. And also 10 groups are getting $10,000 grant. So we're giving away $500,000. And some of those groups may be groups, Dr. Carp, Dr. Haney, and other members of the team that may need scientific technical assistance from CHARM. So I just want to highlight that. So I'll stop there. Are there any questions so far from the CHARM team, from what you heard, at least the overview, and what you heard from some specific overviews from each of the hubs? Go ahead, Dr. Carp. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Thank you, Jacoby. Just to introduce myself, I'm Marcia Wills-Carp at Hopkins and director of the CHARM Center. So my question was, I heard all these wonderful programs and I heard a lot of technical assistance. Can you give me some sense of details on what's under that technical umbrella? Do you understand what I'm asking? I know there's different water and air, but yeah. Are we talking more about technical with grant writing? Are we talking about policy, or we're talking about actual measurements on the ground?
Yeah, measurements on the ground is not part of this. So
okay.
That is right. So the scientific technical assistance is not covered by this TCTAC. We're not. Okay. I think, and y'all can correct me, team. We're not supposed to be doing any research. This is not research related. But that's where, again, when you think about the infrastructures, our TCTAC can cover the sort of the financial capacity building technical assistance, right? Mm-hmm. So the core of the TCTACs is to really provide folks support so they can be able to access the federal dollars. That's not the only okay. part of it.
Right.
That's the core goal of the TCTACs. We have other things that we have to do. So a lot of it's going to be like building those relationships, making connections. So a big part of why we have this hub and hub model is communities know each other the best. The local community hubs, community hubs are going to be able to engage those local communities. So being really able to connect to those local communities is going to be really important. Jerome, you came on camera. You want to jump in?
So yeah, so Dr. Karp, well, Dr. Wilson was laying it out, but I think essentially we're really looking at our support being in three primary areas. One is in grant support, where we provide training, assistance, capacity building, grant writing, proposal writing, things of that nature, navigating the federal system and sort of effectively learning how to manage the grant. So that's one component. The second component is around sort of this project development space where you learn to collaborate with local and state federal agencies, understand how the philanthropic systems work, how academic communities can support nonprofits and CBOs, really that's sort of playing that role of connector from both the grant making as well as the fiscal side. And then the third piece is our community engagement. And the community engagement role is where we facilitate peer-to-peer engagement, trainings, demonstration projects, best practices, where we showcase what community-led achievement looks like. And so the assistance and coordination is typically in those three baskets.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. So Jacoby and everyone else on the hub structure, that seems like a very complementary aspect to Charmed, because we do some of those aspects, but we also are more on the technical end or the science end of providing evidence for communities. So we'd love to connect with you or have you recommend that some of your communities contact us if they are looking for specific technical assistance with measurements of water, air, food, any of the above. Yes.
Yeah. So part of the, thank you for that, Dr. Wills-Karp. So part of the, so we have folks come to the intake process, right? They're going to let us know what their issues are, and then we're going to have them do a needs assessment. So once they go to the needs assessment, right, we have like a general, more as Jerome said, more like the nuts and bolts of being an organization, like who you are as an organization, what your needs are as it relates to staffing, physical capacity, leadership capacity, board governance, all those things. And then they're going to do a more specific environmental justice needs assessment, which is more aligned with what's outlined in the TCTAC RFP, like what the goals and objectives of the TCTAC RFP. And from there, folks may have, we got air quality issues, we have water quality issues, we have soil quality issues, we have food issues, So we will do, so my team, Siege, will provide some basic support, workshops, technical assistance as it relates to, here are the pollutants of concern, here's some sensors that you can use, here's some things you can do, right? So get them so it's more general. The CHARM can really come in and get more specific assistance and measurements once we get them up and running, with the basics. So a lot of what this TCTAC will do would be general technical assistance, that even some other, like for example, I think the community change grant opportunity that's out right now, I believe the EPA has contracted with a consultant who's getting more specialized technical assistance for writing that proposal, right? So we are doing some internal stuff, but there's a whole bunch of money that's been given to them just to do that for the whole country, right? But we are more general. But when it comes to our hub partners, our technical assistance is going to be more customized. So we have internal technical assistance, and then the external technical assistance to those groups that come in, they would get more general support. And then for things that we cannot provide them with, services we can't provide them with through our core services, either from Siege, National Wildlife Federation, EFC, or our hubs, we're going to push them to. So we have referrals. So one of the biggest jobs that we'll do, we bring them in. These are not things that we can do. We'll find folks that can do it. And so when it comes to the scientific kind of measurement-based technical assistance, we can, as communities come through and we see they have these issues, right, we can push them to CHARMed.
Yeah, it's a nice synergistic relationship. Yes.
Yeah, so go ahead, Greg.
Just to jump in, and I think it's really the value of having this interaction between CHARMed and TCTAC is that the relationship also can go the other way. I mean, you can have a community coming in, putting forward a Charmed, and need to have land, water, air assessment done about either a problem or a positive intervention. Get a lot of data and information that then is revealing the need for a significant amount of funding and resources to actually activate the vision or remediate the problem. So I think the better we understand these, and this is like really, from my perspective, the primary goal of starting this cross whatever we want to call it, center dialogue, is to really understand respectively, so that we're creating more of a situation of leveraging the resources. And we all know, I think, at this point, the biggest risk we have is creating an incoherent set of supports when there's incredible resources and supports, but we don't manage to really make it and translate it to be as accessible as possible. So it's really exciting that we're doing this, and hopefully we can identify some concrete ways to carry it forward before the night's over.
That's a great point, Greg. Being able to map it out and match it up, right, when it comes to some of these needs. So, for example, not saying this is a need, but I mean, it could be a need. All these grant proposals, these community change grants that we talked about, track 1, track 2, $10 to $20 million on track 1, 3 or 4 or 5 million, I'm maybe misstating on track 2. Having that community description, that community profile, for example, and having this data that can go in about the exposures and what the impacts are, that could be, as you're saying, very important. And also, Greg's list sustainability, right? So you collected all this data. Now we know we need to get some new infrastructure to address the problem. TCTAC can come in and say, hey, here's some opportunities that we can help you, prepare to apply for these proposals. So, for example, you have the Clean Ports program. There's billions of dollars out there for clean ports. Data that you've been collecting related to the goods movement, CXX, et cetera. That data can be brought into a proposal to get dollars to address some of those port-related impacts, as a quick example. Anything else, Greg? I'm gonna pass the mic to Wakiria. Go ahead, Wakiria.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, one thing that I was thinking is, in this new venture that we're doing through the TCTAC is that as, hub partners, we don't forget that we are really grounded on the ground here in the community. So, as we're building up capacity, we also cannot forget what we're really driving us to help our community and really continue to be connected on the issues that are happening. So it's something that we're learning how to balance, how to help other organizations to grow and expand into the environmental justice work. But at the same time, as organizers, we need to continue to push some of those issues and the mission that originally took us where we are. And so it's at two edges. And I think it's very exciting because as we learn, from this process, we're able to really help other organizations that are coming behind us to help them move on and move forward. And they see us as an example that yes, it can be done without having to disconnect with the origin that took us where we are and the fight that we're all fighting on the environmental justice movement.
Thanks for that. Go ahead, Jerome. Back on the mic.
Yes, I'm trying to get a little bit more understanding of when Dr. Willis Karp was mentioning that you're capable of providing a certain amount of technical assistance. Is that consistent with a student coursework, or is that a general assistance that doesn't necessarily have to line up with programming with students? Tell us a little bit about how that works.
It can be either of the above. We have a certain amount of pilot grant money that has been led by some students with their mentors to do community projects. We have projects in Philadelphia. We have projects South Baltimore. We have some with the River Keepers, Eastern Shore. Michael and Maria are involved with the project with us. So students are involved, so it's an educational experience for them, but we don't have to have a student partner. Many of these are young faculty that we're really training to do community engaged work. So it can be all the above. We have different types of awards. Some are for career development. Some are for people who are scientists but haven't worked in community engaged aspects or haven't worked in environmental health, so they can change directions and train them to work in this field. And the largest pot of our money is for community engaged projects, where there's a direct interaction and relationship and collaboration with the communities. So our catchment base, and we haven't been too strict about this, but it's from Philly to DC. Okay. So there's broad base.
Part of what inspired the question, I was thinking about what Parissa was mentioning before she got offline about her work around cumulative impacts.
Yes.
And we have a lot of community members now trying to really unpackage what that is and to identify what those chemical stressors are in their respective communities. And I think that might be a great opportunity for Match to be able to work with the community, is try to identify what those environmental impacts are.
So we do a lot of untargeted measurement of air, water, many different media to try to understand what's the cumulative exposure. So I want to just put a plug here that part of our funding through the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, we are hosting the annual meeting this year, our center. And the theme of ours is what we call community exposomics, which means cumulative exposures. So that is the topic of our meeting. All 10 other centers around the country will be attending this meeting. And we are going to have community speakers. We have an entire community engagement agenda as well. So we'll probably be reaching out to some of you to participate. It's a good opportunity to engage with people around the country that are involved in similar kind of activities. But back to your original question, we can do the actual air monitoring, water. We're working on lead in Baltimore at the moment. We're working on infectious diseases in the water that arose due to COVID and stagnation of water. So any variety of exposures we're actively engaged in measuring to provide some evidence. And with the South Baltimore group, we've worked with them on, Chris and Maddie have been leading, measuring the coal exposure from the coal terminal.
Are the priorities community led, or you have a list of criteria that you are working through?
Yeah, well, we have those through three areas, but community partnerships are the key. Our scientists working with communities. Yes. Okay.
So
but the problems are identified by the communities. We don't have an agenda already. Okay.
That's what I was looking.
We don't. So unlike many grants where you have to say, I'm going to work on X, Y, or Z, we don't. We let the community engage us around their particular needs.
Great. Thank you.
And Jerome, for all the hub partners, all that comes through the community engagement core. So I'm not sure if Chris wanted to jump in and give a little bit more about the mechanics of it. But Chris,
that's right. Yeah, that's right. So in part through these monthly stakeholder group meetings, we have issues that come in. The very first ones that we started hosting as we kicked off the Charm Center was January of last year. We were in South Baltimore, and the first several meetings were just, put all issues on the table from community groups, neighborhood groups, and nonprofits in the region, to sort of set the agenda for us to start to try to activate scientific and technical capacities around those. And several of the pilots, Marcia, that you heard her explain, grew out of that, either through communities putting issues on the table at these monthly meetings, or relationships and partnerships that were already in existence. And they're very much community-driven, community-led. So the South Baltimore work has been about, writ large, the overburdening with 70 regulated air emitting facilities, but with a particular focus on also helping the community nail down specific information about coal dust exposure. So and I guess if you scan across many of the pilots, many of the partnerships that are getting formed. It's such a great opportunity to link up with TCTAC, Matched. Maria and Michael are driving the Eastern Shore work. As you mentioned, the river water keepers across the region are helping with some of the forever chemicals, PFOS, and others. So yeah, it's very much a community-driven process. And then Jerome, we as scientists try to look into our toolkit to say what can we do, what assistance and help can we provide in measuring things.
Yeah. So I'd like to just add to that what I see as a real synergy here is that once the communities work with us on preliminary data, then they're ready to be able to submit a larger grant. They could work with your teams to really facilitate submission of those proposals. And we can do that, but it sounds like you've got a nice infrastructure for that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of the core focus of the TCTAC is that.
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe someone can correct me. I want to say the wrong thing. How are we supposed to word this? We're supposed to help them to a certain point, right, y'all? We're not supposed to do the budget. Is that right, Jerome? We're not supposed to do the budget, but yeah,
okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Jerome. I'm gonna make sure I don't get in trouble.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, I'm not gonna say anything. Okay, okay. We do a lot of help. We provide a lot of help. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna say anything else because it's very interesting. These boundaries that they eat. I'm gonna leave it alone.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
we provide support. We provide support to groups that, in many cases, have not ever applied for a grant, don't have the capacity. And I'm not saying this is for every group. There's different levels of capacity when you think about organizational capacity, leadership capacity, fiscal capacity, and programmatic capacity, right?
Yeah.
So we're helping groups who are in different stages. But as mentioned, that string language you heard me say, real resource constrained, they really want us to focus on those groups who are rural, resource constrained, that don't really have a lot of infrastructure.
Yeah.
So that's a priority target. That's why you see our hubs are very much focused on rural areas. So we want to, and let me just I didn't say this earlier. Most of the regional TCTACs got $10 million. We got an extra $2 million, partly due to some politics, but I'll just say we got an extra $2 million because they wanted to make sure that we covered the rural areas. So that's why we have, so we have West Virginia State, but we're also adding Appalachian Voices as another hub, and we're close to getting them confirmed. They do a lot of work in coal country, working in these communities that have been impacted by, devastated by the coal industry, right? We also are, Parisa and Empower DC, they weren't originally one of our hubs, so we added them as an additional hub. Virginia State will be an additional hub that we're adding. And we're also adding a Pittsburgh hub. And usually my joke is Jerome knows if I was on camera, not because I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, it's because Pennsylvania is a huge state and we just don't want to have just a Philly-based hub. We need to have the other part of the state covered too. And then there'll be some rural overlap with what Session Shin are doing. Maria and Mike, they already cover a little bit of Pennsylvania, and then Appalachian Voices will cover a little bit in collaboration with Adam and West Virginia State. So we're making sure we're giving good coverage to Pennsylvania. So that the last hub, we're close to Appalachian Voices. We have confirmed Virginia State, but the place that we have not done the work yet to build relationships to get a hub is Pittsburgh. Okay. Other questions from the team, or questions or comments from the CHARM team to the TCTAC team? Excuse me.
So a very practical question. If we have a group that's ready to move the work that we've helped them get a foothold in, how do they move it to your team?
So one of the first steps, if I was get corrected by Dr. Hollis, they have to call their 100 numbers. We have to document everything.
Okay.
So we can have an initial email, but we've been trying to avoid, because it's hard to track emails. We want to track people, make sure we're tracking, just like we talked about Dr. Wills Carp about our system, tracking folks.
Yeah.
So they call it 100 number. They'll go through that process. We'll review their information, and we'll make sure they get bin to the right hub, and then we'll direct them to go through the needs assessment process, and we'll take it from there. But we have to go through our stepwise process. Now, no, that's once we're completely and hub partners, y'all can correct me, and other members of the team, y'all correct. Once we're completely open for business, but before that, since we've been still building the infrastructure up, we have pushed some of our potential community contacts to EPN. EPN is a partner on our TCTAC. EPN stands for Environmental Professionals Network. That is a group of retired EPA employees. And so they've been funded to provide a lot of technical assistance to TCTACs across the country. So we have been engaging them in Region 3. There have been some communities who've had some dire needs, who've been calling us, but we weren't able to get to them yet because we still have to build our stuff up. So we have pushed them to EPN, provide some technical assistance, consultation, coaching to those groups. So if you have a group right now that maybe we are ready in some ways, but we're not fully there yet. But Parisa, as Parisa mentioned, their workshop will be the first workshop in our workshop series. The hubs will be, so all the hubs will be hosting workshops throughout the year. And that's the way we think is the best way for us to connect to people, like Jerome said, provide technical assistance support is through this workshop structure. But if we cannot help them now, or maybe it's not in our wheelhouse, EPN is another resource that we can connect to. And then just another quick point for Dr. Willis Carpenter and the CHARM team. You heard Director Cotty mention water TA. You mentioned that you're already working with river keepers. So that's another way you could push them if they need some support on the water infrastructure financing side. Those river keepers are working with communities. Push them to Director Cotty's team. I'm not trying to give you more work, Director Cotty. I'm just saying this is an example.
I think
No,
we
it's all
have
good. We welcome it. Thank you, Dr. Wilson.
We actually have an EPA grant in with the river keepers right now.
Okay.
I don't know what the timeline for its review, but as all of us in academia can appreciate, EPA makes it not so simple to submit grants. It's quite a complicated process.
With the just look at the agenda. I know we have 26 minutes left. Just a quick example. We are working right now to provide support to hubs and also support to other groups to apply for the EPA Community Change Grant. RAO, are you on still? I thought I saw. Maybe she's not on anymore. I was going to ask if somebody can drop that link to the Community Change Grant in the chat. But that opportunity is an opportunity that closes in November. What's it, Jerome? It's like $1 billion almost for that one funding stream. You're on mute, Jerome.
I put in a link to EPN. EPN has a variety of the most recent federal grants, including the Community Change Grant.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out. It's almost $1 billion, right? That one
it's
program.
Close to $1 billion. It's not an actual billion. It's close to it.
But yeah, so that program is close to $1 billion. Okay, and so track 1 at $10 to $20 million. Track 2, again, as I said earlier, I'm not sure. I don't remember, $3 to $5 million. But we are working. Director Cotty is working with some of the hub partners to provide support. We're also working with other community groups to provide support, and that could be an opportunity for some of the groups that have been engaged with CHARM to look to that grant program. They have a focus. Go ahead, Jerome.
I'm sorry. Let me correct you. It's $2 billion.
I'm sorry. See, man, it's so much money. We're shorting them. Like the EPA administration is $1 billion with a B. I know it's $1 billion, man. Okay,
$2 billion. Yeah.
So that's one program, y'all.
Wow.
That's a lot of money that they have to give away.
Yeah.
And it's overwhelming. I'm just going to say this. It's been overwhelming, everyone. As a TCTAC member of the TCTAC team, TCTAC co-director, talking to the White House and they are overwhelmed to the EPA. They have to give away so much money. And so if we have partners, going back to your point, Dr. Willis-Carp, who you've been engaging, who have, now that RFP is focused more on climate change. So they have a focus on, they want you to talk about reducing greenhouse gas emissions, but they talk about your climate action strategy. So if you look at the RFP or the NOFA, whichever one we call it, you'll see climate action strategies. You'll also see pollution prevention strategies. Now, I'm not looking at it right now, but part of the climate action strategies, they talk about green infrastructure and nature-based solutions. Okay, they talk about dealing with energy efficiency and weatherization. They're also talking about clean transport technologies. So think about EVs and electrification. They also get into brownfields redevelopment, right, Jerome? Brownfields redevelopment is mentioned as a climate action strategy. They also talk about workforce development. So and they talk about water issues. So if you have groups you're working with, right, that are doing that you worked with that needed measurements as it relates to air quality, they should be applying for one of these community change grants. Doing measurements as it relates to soil quality, and it's in the brownfields area, they should be submitting for a climate one of these grants. Doing work around food issues, right? And you can connect food to green infrastructure, right? They should be applying for it. So this is one of the best opportunities right now for groups to either do track 1, track 2, to get dollars to get infrastructure to solve the problem. So take the data and translate it to action.
Right.
And an organization can apply for both a track 1 and a track 2 and get feedback. So
Well, we have people working in all those areas. I know, Kirsten, are you still on? We're doing some climate change, greening and various types of things. But have you guys looked at these grants, or you've been mainly NIH focused? Is that you,
The
Kirsten?
charm team, Dr. Wills. Oh, this is the Kirsten. Oh, go ahead, Kirsten.
Yeah, Kirsten. Are you there, Kirsten? You're on mute.
Maybe until Kirsten.
As Kirsten's unmuting, I was just going to say one low-hanging fruit would be to, oh, she got her hand up, but we should link to each other's websites as we build our websites. Yeah. That's one concrete way. And would force us to give an elevator pitch description of what Charmed is and what the TCTAC is, so that users understand what to look for in each respectively.
Yeah. But we can also share these kind of opportunities in both places so that people don't miss them. Because you can't apply if you don't know about it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
yeah, go ahead, Kirsten.
Sorry, I can never remember the code. I can never remember the code on my phone. We most recently applied for a grant to do work in the public schools, but if there are groups that are interested in the climate ones, we'd be happy to talk about those as well. I don't have anything in the works related to those right yet.
Yeah. No, thank you for that.
So, Marcia, we could chime in here a little bit. Greg, Anne-Marie, and Michael, and actually through Director Jen Cotting, who's been incredibly helpful. And I think maybe one thing, Marcia, that you were getting at is the practical nuts and bolts of this. I've seen as community groups have reached out to the TCTAC and the Environmental Finance Center, they've been incredibly helpful at providing advice, technical advice on the grants, giving their interpretation of this detailed read, line by line read of these long, dense applications, but also helping schedule meetings with the communities to do writing and to get the kind of writing accountability aspect of grants together. And so that's just been my experience. Greg, Maria, Michael, I don't know if you want to share anything, but we have been collaborating with Greg on a community change track 1, and then Maria and Michael trying to develop a community change track 2. And that's what I've noticed, is that they've been incredibly helpful with this sort of, I guess it's Jen, TCTAC architecture. Is that right?
Yes, under the TCTAC umbrella. And I'm glad you all are finding us helpful.
Yeah. We're not just saying that because we're all in a meeting together. I'll co-sign all of that, Jen. It's a similar hands-on, supportive, not doing it for the community, but doing truly with the community that, from my experience with Charmed, has been the case where in this, Jerome, this is going back to your question. It's like there's a real range of, I'll just speak from my own experience. South Baltimore comes forward and says, we've had an issue with what we think is coal dust for decades. It's been ignored. And so there's tremendous body of knowledge, not only about the problem, but how the problem has been avoided for so long by past efforts where industry's been able to dodge it. And so it's not like a new thing or something where the community needs to be schooled on what the problem is. That Charmed has been really open to hearing in depth and then specifically getting at the measurement tools that are the right fit, all the way to a totally emergent issue that is just coming up and needs a ton of exploratory work. So it really runs the gamut. And it's a similar though fundamental approach to what TCTAC is trying to do. We're really getting in there, understanding, doing the real closely knit but always community driven work that needs to be done. And so again, it's why I think it's really good for us to keep relating and talking to each other and building this together.
So Kirsten, you still have your hand up, or did you have something else to say? I can't tell.
No, sorry, I just don't know how to put it down when I'm on my phone.
I don't even know how to put it up on my phone, to be honest, but
I was just guessing, trying to how to unmute myself, and somehow managed to put my hand up. So sorry. I will just yell if I
okay.
ignore me.
No problem. All right.
So just to add to, thanks for those comments, Greg and Chris, just to add to a smaller comment that Greg made earlier, this particular opportunity is not a one-shot opportunity. It closes in November. What's great about it, well, let me say what's bad about it. This is one of the clunkiest, and this is on you, Jerome, this is on us, RFPs, NOFOs out there. It's a multi-part RFP. The RFP is, NOFO's like 80 pages long. We actually wanted them to do work to make it easier for communities to apply. This actually makes it harder for communities to apply. They have a 20-page narrative. Then you have to write a 10-page community engagement and collective governance section, which is not bad because we got that already written. You have to write a 5-page community strength section, which I think is great, but it's 5 pages. Don't mean you have to write 5 pages, but you know, if as a reviewer, you have 5 pages. You only wrote 1 page. That's not a good thing. Yeah. You also have to do a readiness assessment, readiness document. Day one, are you ready? You got 3 years to spend this money. Are you gonna be ready from day one to knock it out? And then you have to have a compliance document. So that's 5 pages, and the compliance document is 5 pages. How are you complying with 200.CFR. Whatever it is, Jerome? So you have multiple components, and the budget justification is a huge amount of work. That's mainly for track 1. Track 2 doesn't have that much work, but that's a lot. So I said to say, luckily, it's not a one-shot opportunity. You can apply more than once. So you apply, you can get feedback, and you can apply again. And also, Jerome, right? You get interviewed, right, Jerome? Is that? Go ahead, Jerome. You're on mute, Jerome. You're on mute.
Yeah. Once you meet the primary threshold for the statutory acceptability, then you can get an interview. So the interview is what's unique, because the interview can be with video, and you can have in person, which they usually never do, but that's a unique component. But you have to meet the primary threshold for acceptability first.
Yeah, and you have to be invited for the interview, and that's only applicable for track 1 proposals. Track 2 proposals do not have an in-person.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're right, Jerome, it's unprecedented.
Yeah, $20 million per grant, y'all. They want to see you.
Yeah. Can I ask what the success rate has been? Does anybody know that?
Not sure. Director Cotton, you have anything on that?
No, so this is the first time they've offered these dollars because it's through the Inflation Reduction Act. So it's not a program where we can look back at historical success rates. They're anticipating, because it's on a rolling basis, they'll be announcing periodically successful applicants, and they have not announced the first successful cohort yet. They said that they were anticipating doing that in February or March. The next thing I heard is that was pushed to March, April. We'll see how they're getting through. I'm not sure what kind of onslaught they had for the most recent submissions, but yeah, we unfortunately don't have anything yet historically to look at for success rates.
And I think, y'all, there's a couple of things happening. And we've experienced this with the grant makers. They got a lot of folks reviewing who probably never reviewed this. It's going to be the volume of review, the volume applications, and they're going to probably get this first cohort, as Director Cotton said, out later. They may get so many at one time that, I don't think you expect them to get them over like a smooth curve. You probably get a whole bunch at one time, another whole bunch at another time. Yeah, and that's probably what's happening. Yeah. So
totally agree.
I think for us, as we support folks, I've been recommending that people, try to take 2 months to do a submission at minimum, and maybe 3 months, but definitely, and this is for everybody, get your first one in before the summer vacation hits, because your team members may not be available, okay? And you may not be able to submit another one until September. So I just want as just an inside tip. I mean, I don't have really inside information. I'm just saying, just from logic, folks will go on vacation. So,
but also probably the earlier ones that were submitted will have a little less competition than as the deadline approaches.
That's
everybody
true, but
commits at
but
the
then
same
do you want to
time.
slap it together and get us? I mean, they may fund slap together proposals. They got to
Exactly.
give away $2 billion.
In the early days, yes,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
it's
So
worth
that is a good
trying.
point.
Yeah.
There's a good point. So I'm not sure for the TCTAC team as we work with each other and work with outside partners. Are we? I mean, what going on with Dr. Wills Carp said? Maybe we should just get what you got and get it in by the end of the month. You got like a few more days.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, with other types of rolling announcements like this, people tend to wait and want to see how it's going. And then they
Yeah.
all submit them at the last time. Then your competition is greater because there's a
Yeah,
large,
you're right. You're
but
right. So yeah, but maybe y'all just seriously, maybe we should be focused on for all those who submitted now on the team. Maybe y'all should be focused on in April, just to give yourself, as Dr. Wills Carp said, you don't want to be when they have hundreds of applications that to get through.
yeah.
Right. So
But I would say that we have a number, and I'll ask the rest of the CHARM team. We have a number of projects ongoing that could be turned into
translated. Yeah,
Yes.
you could. I think you can translate most of your projects to a submission.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of them submission because it's really focused on solution side. So
Yeah.
take what you're doing and how can it match up with those climate action strategies and pollution reduction strategies that are outlined in the NOFO. Now, I think NOFO is on page 11 to 14, if I remember correctly, 11 to 16. So I've been looking at it a lot. Yeah.
Can I ask one clarification on that? There are technical solutions and then there are policy solutions. So is there a preference or both acceptable?
They give you examples in the NOFO, but many of them are really related to more of the infrastructure, putting in new
Okay. All right.
weatherization, nature-based solutions, smart grids, EVs. It's infrastructure folk. I mean, because as Director Cotter says, it's on the Inflation Reduction Act. Or Inflation Reduction Act, Director Cotter, and also BIL or just the IRA? Just the IRA, right? Inflation Reduction Act?
Yeah, so these funds are specifically IRA, you're correct. And so the two tracks, I would say if you had a policy issue that you wanted to look at, track 2 is probably your better bet. That track focuses around really helping the community have a voice in decision making, whether that's at the policy level or the for example, if the state gets funding and you want the community to have a voice in the implementation of where those dollars get invested, policy issues, implementation, decision making, that's really your track 2. That's really your sort of building the capacity of the community to have a voice in decision making. Track 1, as Dr. Wilson indicated, is really more focused on rolling those dollars out into implementation projects on the ground in a way that is very community driven, where the community has a voice in where they think those dollars need to go, how they think those dollars need to be spent. So that's really about that implementation, boots on the ground, projects in the ground sort of piece. But the track 2 really relates a little bit more closely to wanting, needing the community to have a voice in policy change.
Okay, great.
Thanks for that.
We do have a Department of Transportation grant, $10 million we got maybe 6 months ago to do climate smart transportation. So it is around improving EVs and other types of technologies. So
that could be leveraged by connecting to communities that have transit deficits or transit equity issues. And we had not the same conversation, but as I said, we had a conversation with Maryland Energy Administration last week about how we could help them. You could have a similar conversation with DOT. And so we have this grant and we want to collaborate with communities across the state. And you could do a community specific submission. So you kind of rinse and repeat. That's another approach. You got community in this county that needs help. You have the template. Do that. You do it in another county.
So that grant has a number of partners: MIT, UT Austin, Utah, actually Dine University, which is a tribal university out west. So number of partners, but we could make it more region specific.
So to use it, yeah, that's kind of what we're doing with the TCTAC. We'll leverage the TCTAC to be able to provide support to a community-specific proposal, whether it be a track 1 or track 2. And now we have 8 minutes. One of the other things I wanted to just highlight real quickly, and I think we talked about this before when it came to the regional or the national meeting of the centers, Dr. Wills Carp. That meeting is in, what's the date of that meeting again? October what?
September 23rd to the 25th.
So September 23rd to 25th.
Yeah, it's very close to your meeting.
The symposium, yeah, it's a little bit of time, a little bit of breathing, a little bit of airspace.
The problem was that the NIH officials are worried about a government shutdown. So they didn't want us to schedule it after October 1st.
Okay, that makes sense.
A crunch for us to get that together, but those are so. Yeah.
So the symposium for everybody is September 11th to the 14th. So it could be going back to Greg's point about synergizing and connecting the dots. We could have some sessions related to what we're doing at the symposium, have some, like you said, your invitation, like open invitation to the hub partners to participate at the meeting in October. And also, as Parisa and Jerome mentioned, all the hub partners are hosting various workshops. They're different sizes. Some would be only 1-day workshops. Jerome's symposium would be multi-days. Jerome, how many days are you shooting for with your symposium in Philadelphia? Is it 3 days, 2 days, 3 days?
We're shooting for 3 days, October the 17th through the 19th.
So October 17th to the 19th will be Jerome, will be Overbrook's symposium. And so I just want to highlight that. And then in May 4th and 5th, we're co-hosting a meeting with the National Wildlife Federation at their headquarters in Reston, Virginia, where we're inviting the hub partners. We're also inviting other members of MAGIC. We are inviting groups who've gone through the intake process, and we're also inviting some of those match, again, the Robert Wood Johnson funded program, the match mini grant awardees, those 30 groups. We're inviting them to a meeting in Reston, so we'll have a chance to meet the TCTAC team like we're doing today on this call and go through the needs assessment process. And so starting the process with communities, so they go through intake and we can match them up with the hubs and match them up with some of our services, and then be prepared to refer them, after that meeting to other groups that have other needs. So that may be a place where we find out they have some scientific, technical, assistance needs at the event, and then we can push them to a chart. And that may be an opportunity for y'all to also attend, because I'm not sure where we are at hub partners and our attendance. I have a big room block, but not that many people are registered at this point. So there may be rooms to go for folks. Okay, so that could be an opportunity for some of the CHARM team members to attend that meeting May 4th and 5th. So I'll just put that out as an invite, open invite. If y'all want more information, please let us know.
So Maddie and Chris are pointing out that we can send some of these dates, if you share them with us, out to our mailing list.
Okay.
For attendance, if you're looking for attendance.
Yeah, I think let me look. So I want to make sure that all the the awardees get there, some other folks, but I feel like I may need to open it up a little bit more, which is not a bad thing, but just want to give y'all that FYI.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are the next steps? Because we have 4 minutes. I know folks got to eat. I got to cook my dinner. Some others got to eat too. So what are the next steps? I'm gonna maybe pass it back to Maddie or Chris if you want to take us home.
Yeah.
Chris, you're breaking up some.
I see. Oh, sorry. Folks hear me?
Sorry, we can't.
Can folks hear me?
Now we can.
That's better, Chris.
Maddie, maybe. Okay. I think key steps. Let's get all these dates out for these next TCTAC. The workshops and the meetings that you mentioned. If we can get all of those and we can get them passed out to the CHARM listserv, so all the community groups in our network, and remember, the students, faculty can all show up and try to see where it can get plugged in and help out. I think be a range of support, scientific, as Marcia mentioned, where we can help the grants, technical sense. I think it could be a really good combination. And also, I don't know, I think Marcia, about how can we other community engaged research partnerships and projects that are already around the CHARMed ecosystem to get plugged into the TCTAC, right?
Yeah.
Jacoby probably getting that 800 number, getting that out so that people.
Yeah.
Chris, we lost you again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While we're waiting on him, I just want to would you guys indulge me to ask Michael and Maria I could think of a project to engage your groups around one of these grants. So just putting a plug in for you guys to get involved. Hate to put you on the spot, but I think it's an opportunity.
Thank you. Yeah, we're actually working on the Track 2 community change right now together with Chris, and Jen's helping us to kind of get the template together and stuff, which, by the way, Jen has been super helpful, saved us a lot of time and not having to go through the 90-some page NOFO and stuff. So thank you very much for that. And yes, we're working with Chris right now, so we're hoping that it comes together beautifully.
That's great. Well, good luck with that. It's great to.
Yeah, I think most of I know Jerome is still on. I think Jerome, you're also working on one, right? And then
Yes.
Walkyria's working. Thank you, Jerome.
And Parissa too. I believe Parissa as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are. Coffee's doing. Mhm.
So I think it sounds like all the TCTAC community hub partners are working on ones. I'm not sure about the HBCU partners. I'm not sure Adam is still on or not. If any of the HBCU partners are collaborating on any yet. Go ahead, Adam.
We are not yet, but I do have a final interview this week for someone, and so once we can get our position on board, which is our capacity building, that's one of the first tasks I want them to look at is how we can try to put in one of those community change grants or partner with someone on one. So we are looking at it. We just haven't started.
And Adam, I think once you get that person hired, I think probably low-hanging fruit for you, the group to engage as we're still trying to get them on board is Appalachian Voices, because they probably already looking at it too.
Yeah, that would be a great partnership to get us kicked off.
Yeah, thank you. And then
That's great. And Jacoby, one thing I wonder if you could just paint a picture for us in the looking out longer term. The TCTAC is what, several years, right?
It's 5 years.
So what's the community change? Is this kind of the first round? And I just want to get a sense for some of the community stakeholders Charmed works with. Is this the message that there's likely going to be more coming and the TCTACs are going to just keep helping with this kind of technical systems?
So let me respond to that in a couple ways. There will be bust. We are in super boom. Like Jerome just said, it wasn't $1 billion, it was $2 billion. It's a lot of money out there right now. So the idea is, we want to provide technical assistance support to groups to apply for grants like the Community Change Grant. There's other grants from other members of the federal family that are also relevant. And part of our monies come from DOE. So we also want to push those DOE-related grants and provide support on those. We've got a lot of feedback from a lot of the groups that we engage, particularly through the match, again, the Broadway Justice Funding Project, who are interested in food justice issues. So we're also trying to make sure we don't forget about the USDA opportunities. So you have USDA, you have DOE, you have EPA. So yes, we want to, make sure, as you heard Director Cotting, the EFC team has built a great queryable database. They're putting all of these federal opportunities and also Director Cotting, also the state opportunities too. You're putting those in as well. The Maryland, I think, is Director Cotting still on?
Yeah, I'm still here. So yes, all of the state and local opportunities as well as the philanthropic.
So Chris, that database will have all these opportunities in it. So we will continue doing that work, technical assistance. There's some other things that come up during our meetings with the hub parties that things that they would like to see, like entrepreneurship, workforce development, legal technical assistance come up as well. So trying to make sure we connect them to those types of service providers. And then Chris, on sustainability side, we've already started conversations with foundations about this money is great, but who's going to help sustain the TCTAC beyond this 5-year window? So that's another part of the discussion too, to make sure this is just not it's great that we have 5 years, which is more than normal, right? But we need to make sure that the durability is there. So asking for funds outside, from other sources. And so we've already started some of those conversations too.
Oh, that's great, Jacoby. Well, I'm gonna for the whole Charmed team and the Environmental Justice Partnerships Board, just thank you so much all the people who showed up from the TCTAC Region 3. It's a huge, huge group, and I just appreciate your time so much. I know you've got so much on your plates individually, and then even with the TCTAC and match and everything. So it's a huge, huge round of appreciation for doing this, Jacoby. And if you get us that information, we would like to show up and help complement skills and bring whatever we can to help the communities address these really deep-seated and long-standing issues.
Yes, sir. We'll get you the information about the match meet and greet, the TCTAC match meet and greet, May 4th and 5th. And also, we're working diligently on the calendar, the workshop calendar. So I think a lot of folks been asking for that. So once we get that together, we'll also get that to y'all, so y'all can be able to go to these various, participate as a partner in these various workshops that the community clubs are hosting. And thanks for the opportunity. As Greg said, it's a great opportunity for to be efficient, right, Greg, and not duplicative, and have some synergizing. So really looking forward to working with the CHARM team as we move forward.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Huge round of applause. Thanks, Maddie, for organizing everything, and everybody. And we'll see you in April. I think the next event may be date to be determined, but we're planning to go back to South Baltimore with some of the permit process that's going to be potentially heating up with the coal terminal there. So Greg and Shoshanda and Toby will look to hear from you, and that will probably be the next stakeholder board meeting in April.
Okay, y'all.
Thanks so much, everyone. Have a good evening.
Bye,
Take care.
everyone.
Thank you all.
Do the same.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Take care.
Yep. Bye-bye.